Some people risk everything to save others, even their own lives. In this video, we'll look at 5 real stories of people who made the ultimate sacrifice. Their heroic actions saved lives, but they did not survive. These are stories of bravery, selflessness, and the high cost of saving others. It was February 24, 2022 in Ukraine. Russian forces were advancing into the country, and Ukrainian troops were tasked with stopping them. One key location was the Henichesk Bridge in Kherson province, connecting Russian-occupied Crimea to mainland Ukraine. If Russian forces secured it, they would gain a critical route deeper into the country. The Ukrainian military had one choice: to destroy the bridge. The soldier chosen for the mission was 25-year-old Vitaly Skakun Volodymyrovich, a combat engineer in the Ukrainian Marines. Vitaly was born on August 19, 1996 in Berezhny, Ukraine. He grew up in western Ukraine, attending school number 3, where his mother was a teacher. Later, he studied at Lviv Polytechnic and trained in welding at a vocational school in Lviv. Before joining the military, he worked for 6 months in Leszno, Poland, as a construction worker. He was known for his strong work ethic and sense of duty. When the Russian invasion began, Skakun was stationed near Henichesk. His battalion received orders to destroy the bridge to slow the enemy's advance. It was a dangerous task requiring precise timing. Skakun volunteered. Under immense pressure, he worked quickly to set explosives. The Russian forces were approaching fast, leaving him little time. Once the mines were in place, he realized he wouldn't be able to escape in time. There was only one option left. He radioed his unit, informing them of what he was about to do. Moments later, an explosion tore through the bridge, preventing the Russian forces from crossing. Skakun's actions gave Ukrainian forces time to reorganize and strengthen their defenses. His decision came at the cost of his own life, but it played a crucial role in slowing down the enemy's advance. 2 days later, on February 26, 2022, Skakun was posthumously awarded the Order of the Gold Star, Ukraine's highest military honor. The military released a statement acknowledging his bravery, explaining how he had volunteered for the mission and made the ultimate sacrifice to protect his country. His fellow soldiers mourned his loss, but recognized the impact of his actions. "He contacted us and told us what he was going to do," one of his comrades recalled. "Shortly after the explosion happened, his actions delayed the enemy and gave us time to defend." News of Skakun's sacrifice spread beyond Ukraine. His name became known internationally as an example of bravery in the face of overwhelming odds. His funeral was held in Berezhny, where his community gathered to pay their respects. Photos of the solemn ceremony were widely shared online, showing the town honoring their fallen soldier. His memory was further honored when a street in Prague was proposed to be renamed after him. Additionally, he was granted honorary citizenship in both Berezhny and Leszno, Poland, recognizing his contribution and sacrifice. Ukraine's military leaders expressed gratitude for his actions. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine issued a statement reaffirming their commitment to defending the country, stating that Skakun's courage was an example of the strength and resilience of the Ukrainian people. The Henichesk Bridge, once a strategic target, became a symbol of Ukrainian resistance. Skakun's final act ensured that his comrades had a chance to stand their ground, preventing an immediate Russian advance in that region. Looking back, many wonder, what if Skakun had escaped? Would the enemy have moved forward faster? Would Ukraine's defenses have held? These are questions without answers. But one thing is certain: Vitaly Skakun's sacrifice was not in vain. His actions gave Ukraine an edge in a critical moment of the war. His bravery will always be remembered, not just in Ukraine but across the world. His legacy is one of selflessness, courage, and unwavering commitment to protecting his homeland. Vitaly Skakun gave everything for his country. His sacrifice slowed down an advancing army, giving his fellow soldiers a fighting chance. His name will be remembered as a symbol of courage in the face of impossible odds. It was January 13, 1982, and Washington, D.C. was in the middle of a severe snowstorm. Heavy snow and freezing temperatures had already caused multiple flight delays, and conditions were dangerous. Despite this, Air Florida Flight 90 was scheduled to depart from Washington National Airport, heading to Miami. Among the 79 passengers on board was 46-year-old Arlen D. Williams, Jr., a bank examiner from Georgia, traveling for work. Williams had faced hardships in life, including a divorce and the responsibility of raising 2 children. However, he remained dependable and level-headed. He was also engaged to be remarried. This flight was meant to be just another trip, but it would soon become a moment of unimaginable crisis. From the beginning, things weren't right. The aircraft had been de-iced, but with delays keeping it on the runway for nearly an hour, More ice accumulated on the wings. The pilots, inexperienced in handling such conditions, failed to check for further ice buildup before takeoff. At 4:01 p.m., the Boeing 737 lifted off, but it struggled almost immediately. The engine strained and the plane shook as it failed to gain altitude. Co-pilot Roger Pettit realized something was wrong and suggested stopping, but it was too late. The aircraft barely made it over the Washington skyline before crashing into the 14th Street Bridge, hitting several vehicles and then plunging into the freezing Potomac River. Of the 79 people on board, only 6 initially survived the impact. They clung to the wreckage, fighting to stay above the ice-cold water. Among them was Arland Williams Jr., who, despite the life-threatening situation, focused on helping the others. Onlookers quickly called for help, and rescue workers rushed to the scene. Roger Olean, a hospital worker, attempted to swim toward the survivors with a rope tied around his waist, but the icy current was too strong. Then, about 20 minutes after the crash, a U.S. Park Police helicopter, Eagle One, arrived. Piloted by Donald Usher with paramedic Melvin Windsor on board, the helicopter lowered a lifeline to the survivors. Williams was alert and capable, but instead of securing himself to the rope, he repeatedly passed it to others. Flight attendant Nikki Felch was the first to be lifted out. The helicopter returned, and again Williams handed the rope to another person. He continued doing this, ensuring each survivor had a chance to escape before him. At one point, he gave a flotation ring to a woman who had drifted from the wreckage, helping her stay afloat. He never prioritized himself, even though he was surrounded by freezing water. As the rescue continued, the wreckage began sinking further. The last time the helicopter returned for Williams, he was gone. The icy river had pulled him under before he could be saved. The other 5 survivors made it out alive. But Williams, the only one still conscious and capable of holding on, didn't make it. His selfless actions had saved lives, but he lost his own in the process. News of Williams's heroism spread quickly. The Washington Post detailed his actions, describing his bravery and willingness to help others despite the danger. Time magazine later called him the man in the water. His identity remained unknown for a day until authorities confirmed who he was: a father, a bank examiner, and a man who had overcome his fear of water in his final moments to save strangers. President Ronald Reagan posthumously awarded Williams the Coast Guard's Gold Life-Saving Medal, which was presented to his family. His hometown of Mattoon, Illinois, named a school after him. In 1985, Washington, D.C. renamed the 14th Street Bridge the Arland D. Williams Jr. Memorial Bridge in his honor. His legacy continued through the Citadel, his alma mater, which created the Arland D. Williams Jr. Society to recognize students for exceptional service. The college also established a professorship in his name, ensuring his story would inspire future generations. Williams had a chance to save himself, but he chose to save others instead. What if he had held on to the rope? Would he have survived? These questions remain, but one thing is certain. His actions that day were extraordinary. His name lives on, not just as a reminder of that tragic day, but as an example of the incredible strength of human kindness in the face of disaster. It was the early morning of June 30th, 2024, in Kochav Yakov, a settlement in the West Bank. Adina Zahavi, a 45-year-old mother of 9, was at home with her family when a fire suddenly broke out. It was just past 2:30 a.m. when an electric bicycle battery caught fire, spreading flames and smoke throughout the house. Within moments, the family was in grave danger. Adina and her husband Aryeh acted immediately. Thick smoke filled the home, making it hard to see or breathe. Their children, still half asleep, were disoriented. Despite the chaos, Adina didn't hesitate. She and Aryeh focused on one thing: getting the children out. One by one, they carried or guided them to safety. Adina's bravery went beyond instinct. She ran back into the burning house multiple times, determined to save every child. By the time the last child was outside, the smoke had overwhelmed her. The toxic fumes had taken their toll. She collapsed. Emergency responders arrived quickly. Firefighters and paramedics worked to save her, but the damage was too severe. Adina didn't survive. Her loss was devastating. Aryeh, their children, and even some neighbors who had tried to help suffered from smoke inhalation but survived. As the reality set in, the community mourned. Adina had been known for her kindness, selflessness, and devotion to others. Adina had immigrated to Israel from the U.S. 2 decades earlier. She was more than just a mother. She was a friend, mentor, and community pillar. Her friend Rachel Leff recalled that Adina always noticed those in need and offered help quietly, without expecting anything in return. She wasn't one to seek attention for her kindness. She simply acted. She worked closely with special needs students, building meaningful relationships with them. Many visited her home, where she welcomed them with warmth. Despite raising a large family, she found time for friendships. She had a way of making everyone around her feel valued. A few years before the tragedy, she reconnected with an old friend who recalled how easy it was to talk to her. Even when pregnant with her 9th child, Adina made time for others, driving alone late at night to meet up. She never complained, simply brushing off concerns with a laugh. She was tough, yet deeply caring, a combination that defined her character. A single faulty battery caused the fire that altered the Zahavi family's lives forever. The smoke made escaping nearly impossible. In a cruel twist, an everyday object meant for convenience led to unimaginable tragedy. Despite the horror of that night, Adina's final act was extraordinary. She re-entered the burning house again and again, refusing to leave until all her children were safe. Her husband later described her as a lioness who put her children's lives before her own. The community was left in shock. The head of the Binyamin Regional Council, Israel Gantz, visited the scene, acknowledging Adina's courage. She risked everything to save her children, he said. She didn't think twice. In the days following the fire, it became clear just how much Adina had meant to those around her. Her brother, overwhelmed by grief, spoke at her funeral, struggling to believe he was burying his younger sister. "Who would have thought my first family funeral would be hers?" he said. For her children, the loss was immeasurable. They had not only lost their mother, but also the heart of their home. The fire destroyed everything they owned. Yet the community rallied around them, offering support, both emotional and financial, to help them rebuild. The tragedy raises difficult questions. Could the fire have been prevented? Could the evacuation have been faster? What safety measures might have changed the outcome? But beyond these questions, one truth remains. Adina's courage and love for her children will never be forgotten. Her legacy is not just in her final moments, but in the years of kindness she showed to everyone around her. As the Zahavi family moves forward, they carry with them the memory of a mother who gave everything for them. Her story is not just about loss, it's about the strength of a woman whose love knew no bounds. On the afternoon of November 11th, 2024, a devastating accident shook the small town of Riddell's Creek, northwest of Melbourne. A 68-year-old man lost control of his water tanker, crashing into the playground of the Macedon Ranges Montessori preschool. The incident left one person dead, a young child injured, and the community in shock. Children were playing in the fenced yard when the massive vehicle veered off the road and plowed through the area. The impact destroyed part of the playground, leaving debris scattered across the ground. The peaceful preschool had turned into a scene of devastation. Among those present was 43-year-old speech pathologist Eleanor Bryant. She had been assisting a child with special needs, a role she often took on with care and dedication. The moment she saw the truck barreling toward the playground, she acted without hesitation. She rushed to move the children out of harm's way, prioritizing their safety over her own. Local resident Walter Lucas, who witnessed the scene from across the street, later described Eleanor's bravery. "She saved that kid's life by putting herself in danger. She's more than a hero. She's a superhero." Sadly, while she managed to protect several children, she was unable to escape the vehicle's path. She was struck and lost her life at the scene. The driver, a resident of Broadford, was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. Authorities suspected he may have suffered a medical episode that led to the crash, but the exact cause remained under investigation. Due to his condition, it was days before officers could speak with him. The preschool was temporarily closed as investigators examined the damage. The truck had torn through the fence, leaving the area unrecognizable. Riddell's Creek, a quiet town where large trucks frequently passed through, had never seen an accident of this magnitude. Eleanor's family, devastated by the news, described her as the light of our lives. She was known for her kindness, humor, and dedication to her work and family. In their statement, they thanked emergency services and the public for their support, asking for privacy during their grief. The community responded with an outpouring of love and respect. Mourners placed flowers and heartfelt messages outside the preschool, honoring Eleanor's sacrifice. Residents who had known her for years spoke of her generosity and deep commitment to helping children. The 3-year-old boy she saved was taken to the Royal Children's Hospital with serious injuries. Though he was expected to recover, his survival was a direct result of Eleanor's actions. Victoria Police Chief Commissioner Shane Patton called Eleanor's efforts heroic, emphasizing that her quick thinking prevented further tragedy. Local officials echoed this sentiment, acknowledging her courage in the face of danger. Beyond her work as a speech pathologist, Eleanor was an active member of the community. She was involved in a local basketball club, serving as the equipment and uniform coordinator. The club shared a heartfelt tribute on social media, remembering her as an amazing mom and wife who had given so much to others. As the investigation continued, authorities reviewed CCTV footage from nearby businesses, hoping to determine the exact cause of the crash. While they had not confirmed the details, they were considering the possibility of a medical emergency. In the days that followed, the people of Riddell's Creek came together to mourn. A gathering at the local police station allowed officers and residents to support each other as they processed the tragedy. Eleanor's family and friends struggled to come to terms with her passing. Her warmth, kindness, and selflessness left a lasting impact on everyone who knew her. Her husband, children, and colleagues faced an unimaginable loss, but they took comfort in knowing that her final moments were spent saving lives. The town of Riddell's Creek will never forget Eleanor Bryant. She was not just a dedicated professional or a loving mother. She was a hero whose bravery will always be remembered. Though her life was cut short, her legacy lives on in the children she saved and the people she inspired. As the investigation continues, the community is left to reflect on this tragedy, hoping to find ways to prevent similar accidents in the future. But one thing remains certain: Eleanor Bryant's name will always be associated with courage, sacrifice, and a commitment to others.